And I'm not seeing. So good morning, everybody, and welcome to the September edition of Coffee with Cathy. It is my pleasure to welcome um, our regular contributors today, Betty Hart from the Kaiser Fire District and Ramiro Navarro from the Chariots Board of Directors. And if in here for the chamber is Corey Falardo, the chamber executive director. And joining us today for the first time is Robert Hussman. He is the presumptive counselor elect for position 5 on the Kaiser City Council. He is running for election and he does not have an opponent. We know he is a candidate, and if he had an opponent, we would be inviting both to the program today. As such, I thought it was a great opportunity for folks in the community to hear from Robert and get to know him a little bit better as he gets ready to go through the election process. I hope that everybody will vote and get their ballots in. That is absolutely critical. There is no unimportant election. And this is coming from the former president of the Marion Polk League of Women Voters. So make sure when you get your voter information, make sure when you get your ballot, get those looked at, get those turned in, and it's free. All you have to do is go down to City Hall, drop in the slot. It's open 24/7 once those ballots drop. But I get ahead of myself. The ballots will come out next month, but I will continue to remind everybody, vote, vote, vote. It cannot be overstated how important that is. Okay, so there we go. That is one of the big things that is important to, I believe, all of us. And it is now, let me see if I can look at my settings. I think we're good. And so Corey's on a short time frame today, and so I'm going to ask her to lead off with what's happening with the Kaiser Chamber and what's happening with our businesses and just what's happening.
Well, we're certainly kind of refreshed and regrouped from Kaiser Fest, which was fantastic. We were so blessed to be able to partner with the city and so many great volunteers and partners and businesses and everything that just made the event that much better. I certainly did not expect what we got. The end result was way more than what I ever imagined would be. We had the most vendors that Kaiser Fest has ever seen. The most people passed through the event that Kaiser Fest has ever seen. For the evening events, we handed out over 2,000 bracelets, and that's just from 4 to 11 p.m. on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday night. So if that tells you anything, Kaiser came and showed up and had a great time. The carnival was fantastic. The car show was awesome. The parade was really great. And, we couldn't have asked for anything more. And of course, Mayor's Pet Parade was also wonderful. Although Cathy couldn't be there for that, Councilor Laura Reed showed up with Millie and led the march triumphantly and was fantastic.
Yeah, my dog showed up.
That's right.
And my daughter brought Millie down to make sure that she could be in the pet parade. And I was coming back from the mayor's conference, so folks know it was the same weekend. So I got up early and drove back to be part of Kaiser Fest and the parade. So just want to put that in there. But Millie was right there, right in the front, all wiggles and excited.
Yeah, it was so fun. And I think my favorite part was seeing how everybody participated in the theme. We had a great Pac-Man float, bands on floats. We had old computer systems from the 80s on floats, and it was just so neat to see how everybody participated. And of course, we all know I'm a crier, so right when the parade started, I was just in tears, just super excited about how everybody was there and participating. And it's just always a great time. And we that was our first rodeo down at the dog park, and certainly won't be our last, fingers crossed. Hint, hint.
Oh, you don't have to hint, Corey. just in case anybody's wondering, the location this year is where we are doing the site planning right now for the new turf fields. And that is not to say that, okay, Kaiser Fest, that was a one and done. No, being Kaiser, this is a community conversation. The chamber and the city staff are working together on not only and community partners as we get the site plan developed for the turf fields, but also how is this going to enhance the opportunities for events like Kaiser Fest. We're looking at not just that site, but also the facilities, electrical, water, and so forth. Um, Food truck pod pads that will be part of the site plan. There's a lot more going on. And I think that the success of Kaiser Fest has really emphasized just what the next phase for this park can be and really built enthusiasm and support for that site to become even more than what we envisioned. So just like Kaiser Fest, Kaiser is going to show up, is showing up, and is going to take it to the next level on what that site can be. But Kaiser Fest is definitely a key component in this site plan, keeping it in mind.
Yeah, we're super excited to keep trucking forward down there. You know, I'm a firm believer in rolling my sleeves up. And so I had myself and my board out there working in the field, laying sprinkler pipe and, you know, making sure there was no weeds growing and laying the fencing. So we all roll up our sleeves and we get out there and put in the hard work. You know, we love what we do, and we love that event is so loved by our community. And I love to make things bigger and better. And so I'm so excited for the challenge of next year, but knowing that we can make it so much more exciting and better for everybody.
Yep.
And then, of course, you know, I hate to even say this, but we are coming into our great holiday season at the chamber, which is such a fantastic season for us. You know, we see back to school and we see the excitement of the children starting back and reaching out for support. And our Kaiser Network of Women is a great support for our Kaiser schools. And we get the opportunity to partner with all of the Kaiser schools. And we're working with Kaiser Head Start and some of our local nonprofits that serves children and families in the area. Soaring Heights and Samanka Place. And we've reached out to some other folks so that we can make sure that all of the kids in Kaiser are served, and of course, children and families as a whole. But we're ramping up, and teachers are inputting those families who need support through the holidays. So they'll continue to get a gift, like a toy gift, clothing, and a food box. And then, of course, we want all of you fantastic people in this community to come out and pick up a donation box and deliver it to these families so that they can feel the love, which is fantastic because you always show up and you always help out, which we super love. And Santa Central will be at the Kaiser Lions Club again, and we'll be setting up shop the Monday after Thanksgiving. And getting all that rolled out. Coming up before then, you'll see the trees go up in our Kaiser businesses with the tree tags. So if you're out in the community, grab a tag, get the gift back to that business. We'll swing in and pick it up and get it. The community will come in, get it wrapped, and we'll get it out to those families. Let's see. Of course, Turkey Dash is coming up too, which happens on Thanksgiving Day through Kaiser Station in the Gupser neighborhood. We really loved the pajama theme last year, and so we're gonna have that happen again this year. Everybody showed up in their fun pajamas, from Fortnite pajamas to Santa Claus jammies. It was so much fun. And we're looking to have a really great turnout this year. You'll get your commemorative mug and a t-shirt, and just have a great time. And registration will be open for that October 1st on the Kaiser Chamber website, and you can also find it on the Kaiser Runs Facebook page. And then something really super exciting that's coming. About 2021, we had this big thing sweep through our community that really affected our businesses called COVID. And Kim Thatcher was fantastic and gifted her ARPA funds to the chambers in her district. So it was the Kaiser Chamber, Wilsonville Chamber, St. Paul, Newburgh, and I think that's it. But we were gifted that money to fund a business recovery coalition. And so we are looking at rolling out that portion of the program October 1st. So businesses will start getting a partnered support through meeting with a representative from the program to find out how they can access resources to make their business more successful. So if you run a business and you're thinking to yourself, I need to access better resources on bookkeeping and accounting. Well, you're going to come to the business recovery program and say, who can I get in touch with to make this happen for us? And we're going to give you, a couple resources and say, let's partner with these folks. They're going to teach you how to run QuickBooks or get your books in order, maybe learn how to do payroll so that you are more efficient in running your business. And after providing the business recovery program some measurable outcomes, we're going to look at that and say, okay, this was really successful for you. We're going to pay for that portion of support. And how can we make this program last for you and that support last for you? So we're looking at doing some monthly, well, I'm hoping more frequently in the month, but we'll see how schedules work with that. Business support classes. So partnering longtime business owners with new business owners and offering, I say business for dummies because that's kind of what's in my brain for what I need to be a better business person to run a business, but it's probably not kosher for the community. But people who are really great at running businesses across the nation or Oregon or in the Willamette Valley to come in and teach Kaiser business owners how to be successful long-term. Now that we've been through this pandemic and experienced this hardship, how can we prepare for something that comes up again, God forbid, and not skip a beat? And that would be something that the chamber offers for free for business owners. And it's not just chamber members. I'm not in the business of only supporting chamber members. I want to support businesses across the board in Kaiser. We are one of the largest cities in that coalition. The largest geographical area with the businesses per capita in one area. So we'll be hopeful to access all the businesses and bring them in all together and serve everybody. Another portion of this program is called Business Assistance Payments, which will be rolling out January 1st. And that's going to be a program where you will receive, it's not a grant, although it may sound like a grant. It's different because there's not as in-depth paperwork, and there's already businesses who are pre-qualified due to the location of their business, ethnicity, race. Women-owned businesses and veteran-owned businesses are all pre-qualified. Hospitality, tourism, and I always forget the last one, but they're all pre-qualified because they were really hit the hardest and didn't receive enough resources through the federal government. But of course, every business in Kaiser has access to this funding. There's just a little bit of different things that we're going to ask from businesses who don't fall in that category. So come January, we'll roll out a map that businesses can look at. And if you fall in within those addresses, we'll be contacting you and say, hey, we have this really great program for you. We'd love to have you take advantage of that. And we'll be walking with you for the next 2 years. And of course, we want to follow up with, we'd love to have you be a chamber member so that this program can stay afloat after 2 years. So that's really what's coming up for us. Lots of great work for businesses, and I'm really pumped and excited because it means that we get to see people that, may be nervous to come through our doors or don't know what a chamber is and the services that we can provide. And I just want to make sure that everybody's livelihood is protected and safe. And, we all need to learn something. And if the chamber can be that safe hub for business owners, no matter what you do, what you already know, or what you don't know, there's no judgment. Come through the doors, find out, let me know. There's things that I don't know you need to know, and I want to make sure we serve that purpose. So really excited about it.
This is absolutely fabulous. I remember when this first came up, the excitement and also the opportunity to network through our region. So you mentioned it's Kaiser, Woodburn, Newburgh, and
no, it's Kaiser, Wilsonville,
McMinnville.
No, it's Kaiser, Wilsonville, Newburgh, St. Paul. I think that's it.
Okay. Got it wrong.
Newburgh and St. Paul are now like combined, so it's Chehalem Valley Chamber.
Gotcha.
So through the last couple of years, they've kind of merged, and so that's that. But yeah, so all working together. It's really been a lot of fun getting to know other chambers and how they tick and work, and the opportunity that we have to have Kaiser shine and just be super fantastic like we are. And everybody's already super impressed by how Kaiser ticks and works and how we all come together and show up and support each other. And that's what we're just really looking forward to, is more of that.
So the website is for the Kaiser Chamber is kaiserchamber.com.
And there is a business recovery website, but it escapes me right now. I can drop it in the chat before I leave. But yeah, they're also looking for that program specifically. They're looking for outreach representatives to go out in the field and reach those businesses. So once I put that in the chat, if you know people, they're really, really, really hoping and striving to get bilingual folks in those positions. So if you know anybody that would qualify for those positions, please send them to the Wilsonville Chamber. We need to get those positions filled ASAP because October 1st is coming right around the corner. So yes.
It is. So we have a lot of fun and we work hard and support our businesses. I think this really speaks to the Kaiser Chamber, the Kaiser community, but also our region. I do a lot of regional work through being on the board for SEDCOR, being on the board for the Council of Governments, which is Marion Polk Yamhill, and being a regional entity, working really hard to raise the awareness, the collaboration, the cooperation, and the sense of strong community across our 3-county region has been increasing over the years. And I think this is a testament to what we together can accomplish rather than if we stay in our own little spaces and go, I got mine and I don't want to share.
Yeah.
It works for nobody.
There's a term in the chamber world called R&D, It's called Rip Off and Duplicate. And it's been so fun because we all have been able to do that so much more efficiently through the group of us. I think just the testament of working together has improved our programs substantially. And we all laugh because that term is so like negative, but it's positive in our world, because we want to, if something's working, we want to make sure that we can make it work for everybody. So if you ever hear me say R&D, that it's rip off and duplicate.
Take that one to work with you, Robert. This is our new R&D. Oh my goodness. Corey, this is why we love you. And this is why we get a lot done here in Kaiser, because we do laugh, we do have a good time, but dang, we also show up and work hard. Corey, I want to thank you for joining us today. Yes, do drop that into the chat. We will make sure it gets onto the Facebook recording when we transfer this over there as well. And I'm really excited to see how this program rolls out for our businesses. This is really critical. There are businesses that went down in the first 2 years in 2020 and 2021. This year, we're also seeing casualties as people wear out, as the long-term prognosis for their businesses did not come back, or they faced new difficulties, especially in workforce. I want to give a huge shout out, by the way, to one of our great regional partners on workforce, and that is Willamette Workforce Partnership. They are fantastic in this region. They partner with SEDCOR. They partner with the state on employment opportunities, training, and programs to get people and jobs married up, trained up, and get people working where they will be successful. So I want to give them a huge shout out.
I did want to mention one thing I forgot to say. So sorry. We have a new law coming down the pike for businesses called Paid Leave Oregon. And the Kaiser Chamber is hosting a Paid Leave Oregon, a deeper look on October 18th from 3 to 5 p.m. at the Rec in the upstairs conference room. And we have a few representatives coming from there to sit down with us, and more you guys, the business owners, on a one-on-one level. And so we have some Spanish speakers coming. We have some translated documents for owners of businesses that may need that for a more efficient learning curve, so that you can get what you need. It's so confusing. And we want to make sure that you're served to the best of their ability. So we actually have them coming on September 27th to greeters to give us short synopsis of what's happening. And then they're coming back to help business owners figure out, do I need a private group, or can I qualify for the state group, or however that's going to work for your business. But we just want to make sure that nobody's left off and that you get what you need at the right timeline. So that's also coming. So check our website. All the events are there, I promise.
Okay. Thank you so much. And thank you for that. I know that we at the city, we're looking at our contracts with our employees and how this is going to affect our employees and financially, and the city financially. So we're all up at dealing with this as well to figure it out. So it's not simple, that's for sure. Thank you so much, Corey. Again, really appreciate your energy, your leadership, and the fantastic team at the Kaiser Chamber of Commerce. Thanks for joining us today.
Have a good day, everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you. At this point, I would love to introduce our special guest, and that is Robert Hussman. He is the presumptive counselor-elect. He does not have an opponent for position number 5. That position is currently held by Council President Elizabeth Smith, who chose not to run for re-election, and she has done a fantastic job as a city councilor and has made a huge difference in her term on the Kaiser City Council. So Robert, just want to give you an opportunity to introduce yourself on the program to the community, folks who may not know you. Of course, I think a lot of folks know you and your family, because you've been in the community your whole life. So Robert, welcome to the Coffee with Cathy.
Thank you, Kathy. And pretty close. The top line of my resume is basically Clear Lake Elementary School, Whitaker Middle School, McNary High School. My family moved to Kaiser in 1995, and those definitely are the first interactions I've had with the community. Basically, we're through the schools, getting to know people over time. My parents have both served in various educational capacities. My mom is an instructional assistant, my father in driver's education, and through a couple other part-time roles with the school district. So suffice it to say, my experience has been a lot through the schools and just seeing them as kind of the window into what Kaiser is and what Kaiser has become. And the more I talk with people in my current role in the private sector, throughout Kaiser, throughout other cities in Oregon, people see what Kaiser has going on, and they really think the city is in a good position, just in terms of community, in terms of business impact, in terms of simple livability. People want to live in Kaiser more and more, and I think we're seeing that reflected in our economic conditions. There is a lot of positivity and a lot of opportunity, and I want to help channel that through some of the great projects that we have going on. You mentioned the turf fields at Kaiser Rapids Park. The park is very quickly turning into such a community mainstay, and people are using it in so many different ways. The turf fields are incredibly exciting. The opportunity coming up to place a Kaiser public library within the city through the ballot is an amazing opportunity. It's one that I wholeheartedly endorse, one that I love to support in any way I can in terms of helping shape what that looks like for the future. And I see a few opportunities, maybe big, maybe small as well. I'd love to help with anything related to access and infrastructure. My job in the private sector, and I've graduated from Willamette University with an MBA and from the University of Oregon. And professionally, what I tell people that I do is I look at systems, attempt to break them apart a little bit, understand their component pieces, and help build them back together to be a little bit better than they were in some capacity. As far as I'm concerned, the city council works along a similar plane, looking at all those systems and all those connectors, building them back up to make a better city. And that's what I want to do, because the top line of the resume is what drives me and what grounds me. And it's how I feel effectively called to serve on the city council. The whole unopposed thing completely came as a shock, but until then, it's just been exciting to get to know not just you, Kathy, on a deeper level, and not just the people on this call, but others within the community whom I had interacted with previously, whom I never interacted with all. I've gotten to meet some new faces, hear some new stories. And for that, I've been grateful. Everybody is incredibly supportive. And I think Kaiser is a city that's very aware of what's going on in generally. People are curious about the whole community and how policies impact them and their neighbors. So for that, I am grateful for the opportunity.
Well, we're excited to welcome you on board. We've already started meeting, and we're trying to turn on the fire hose, not quite as, not on full bore. There's going to be a lot of training opportunities as Robert prepares to take office in January, assuming the voters agree with certainly myself and many others that he will make a great fit on the city council. He will also hold the distinction of being the first millennial to elected to Kaiser City Council. So congratulations to you and your generation. One of the things that I have been very purposeful about during my administration of the last 8 years is looking at that strong handoff and partnership across generations. You have to be intentional about it. Otherwise, you keep talking to the same people because you have the same experience-based, but when you are really being intentional about saying, you know, we need to make sure that we have a strong handoff, that we have a strong um, succession, if you will. I mean, my hair was brown when I started. That should tell you a lot.
That's the city though, Kathy. I really do believe it. Just 8 to 88, and really it's probably more like 1 to 101. Just Kaiser reflects deeply along a number of priorities, from senior citizens to infants and young children. And we have so many families, multi-generational families within the city, who have a variety of needs in a smaller space. And frankly, the city does well to meet a number of those needs. And I'd love to enhance and bring in new opportunities and provide some opportunities to make that access a little bit easier. And I think there are a few different ways to do it. Certainly some of the work that's already gone on within the council, it's work that I'm excited to be a part of, but I think that there are new opportunities emerging really at rapid pace. You're right to talk about COVID. Corey's right to talk about COVID and the changes it has wrought upon our world, which we're still living in practically on a daily basis. Change comes very fast in the world, but there are so many opportunities within that change to make people's lives better, even as people are continuing to face hardships and effects with COVID, not just the illness, but with the community effects as well. It has been a very difficult 2 years, I think, for a lot of people, and a lot of people put on a brave face for it. But there is a future that is going to come at us whether we like it or not. And in many ways, the indicators for the future are positive, and the resolve of individuals that I talk to is quite strong. And that's galvanizing. And I don't think that's just on an individual basis. I think the community really feels that level of resolve, and that's an exciting thing.
Well, we're excited to have your energy and your education and experience joining the team. And I think it's going to be a very exciting time. Also in the new year, as part of our goal setting, we are also going to be doing, as a city, strategic planning. So you're coming on just at the right time. We have never done, or at least not in recent memory, a longer term strategic plan. We do our long range planning through our planning task force. We've done that since 2008, and that has continued to evolve. But our city manager, Adam Brown, wants to help us take that to the next level and actually bring in a consultant to assist in doing strategic planning. And so I think this is going to really speak to your area of expertise, Robert, and also to help us take that next leap out. What does this longer term look like? What are our trends? What are our opportunities? And how do we capitalize on those? So I'm excited to have you as part of that process as well.
Thank you. Definitely be dusting off the graduate degree in some of those old books that I still have. Though I try to do right by my Willamette professors, I still consult my textbooks on occasion. They weren't far off base. They had good ideas. I definitely can crib from that. But it's again, a wonderful thing that the city of Kaiser is doing to look toward a long-range strategic plan. And those documents serve very well in terms of guidance and production and dissemination of ideas. And I think that there are a number of good ideas out there within what Kaiser can be in 50 to 100 years, let alone 10 to 20 years that can capture it. It's a little strange to say that the city is so young, right? The city is just a little bit older than I am. We would have almost passed by each other at McNary, frankly, as I've just turned 34. But really, Kaiser figures to be around for a while. 40 is just a number at this point. So there's a lot to look forward to.
Well, thank you so much, Robert. Yes, Kaiser turns 40 this year. It's been 40 years come November since the voters of this region chose to incorporate into the city. So what I'd like to do now is, speaking of strategic planning, Ramiro, we missed you last time and glad to have you on board. A lot of great stuff is happening, not only with the strategic plan, but also the bus pass program.
Yes, so thank you for that great lead in. We have a lot of amazing things happening at Chariots. One of the biggest is the Youth Zero Pass program. And so the Youth Zero Pass program eliminates the fare for all youth ages 0 to 18. This was made possible thanks to contributions from the city of Kaiser, the city of Salem, Chariots, and the community. The Youth Zero Pass increases access to public transportation for families and children within the community. And riding the bus is the easiest and safest, or excuse me, it's the least expensive and safest alternative than driving. It also helps foster independence for youth in our community. And that was kind of the spiel that I wrote up for that. But a good example of that was I was attending my son's football game, not this week, but the week before that. And one of the football players had just gotten off winning in a blowout, and everybody was super excited about winning in this game. And this child was upset because he didn't know how he was going to get home. And so I was talking to the child because he was a friend of my son's, and asking if he needed a ride home. And he said, well, he didn't know if his parents were comfortable with that. And then I brought up, well, did you know that you could ride Chariots for free? And he was like, no, I didn't know that. And I'm like, well, yeah, that's absolutely a resource that's available to you. And he's like, there's a bus stop right down the street from my house. And I'm like, that's perfect. And, you still got time to catch the bus. And so I think we have a little bit of work to do when it comes to informing the youth that they're eligible for this program. And we're working with the school district on that. But it's such an amazing resource, and to see his face light up with joy, knowing that he had a way to get home, I think was super awesome. Some other things that are new to Chariots is Chariots. We have a new regional route connecting Kaiser and Wilsonville via Woodburn. So that Route 80X is the final piece of our A Better Chariots plan, which began with the introduction of Saturday service in 2019. It provides 4 weekday round trips departing from Kaiser Transit Center, serving a new stop at the Woodburn Memorial Transit Center and ending at the Wilsonville Transit Center. Those same stops are served in reverse on a return trip back to the Kaiser Transit Center. And it's something that we're still, it's a brand new route. We're still looking into how it's going to serve the community, but we have a good idea that it's going to be a great addition to the transit center here in Kaiser. Some other opportunities that we had to network in the community and partner with the community in Chariots is the recent veteran stand down. So every year, Marion County has a veteran stand down that's been it's been kind of difficult to host because we haven't been able to find a home for it. And luckily, with the completion of the new YMCA, they have agreed to host the veteran stand down here in Marion County for the next 10 years. So it's really awesome that we found a home for that veteran stand down. It's a great event. It's where a bunch of different veteran service providers can come into our community, host a booth, and the veterans here got free transportation to the event with partnership with Chariots. And they were able to network some of their benefits and everything that they qualify for. Unfortunately, we have some really bad conditions for veterans here in Oregon, and part of the reason for that is because we have veteran service organizations that don't really communicate. And so this event that we have annually in Marion County is a great opportunity to bridge that gap and make sure the vets are getting the services that they've earned. So yeah, that was all I have for Chariots. For more information, you can check us out at www.chariots.org. And then I also wanted to give a quick update because I was supposed to update on this last month, but we had a back to school drive over at the Southeast Kaiser Community Center at the end of August. it was the first, because the community center closed down for a couple weeks while they cleaned up and figured out a couple things. And then they were able to secure some funding to get support from the community, to get everything that they needed. And like Mary Clark alluded to earlier, you know, Kaiser shows up for our community. And so everybody showed up to be able to support the Southeast Kaiser Community Center. They got funding for another year. They were able to continue hosting the Friday evening dinners. And then we showed up with 150 backpacks for students at that event. So that was really exciting to be able to be a part of and make sure that the kids had what they needed to go back to school. And it was just great. And I'm looking forward to that. And those dinners are continuing. So every Friday at the Southeast Kaiser Community Center, if you know any youth that are in the area, they're going to be open and giving dinners to teens.
Well, that's fantastic. Is there a Facebook page, website? They're probably on Instagram because I'm old.
So they do have a Southeast Kaiser Community Center coordinator page. So it's like a personal profile. That's the SEKCC coordinator. And that's on Facebook. I don't know if they have a Instagram, but that's a good point.
They probably do, and I wouldn't know about it because I'm really klutzy at Instagram. Facebook I've figured out, but I will look that up because I would like to promote those on my page, and that would give us a chance to share it out farther. And I'm glad to hear Kaiser shows up for supporting our youth and the Southeast Kaiser Community Center. That is really exciting. Thank you for that update.
Yep, thank you.
So before I go to Betty Hart, I want to do a really quick plug. Oh, it's backwards. Dang it. Band Day. Band Day. Today is Band Day. So support our musicians from the world-class McNary Celtic Band and Orchestra program. They are out today. They are collecting cans. They are collecting donation, and make sure that our musicians get the equipment, training, and what they need so they can keep on delivering world-class music for us.
The high school and middle school programs are wonderful, Kathy.
All right, Betty, thank you so much for joining us. You've been really, really busy, and I want to give a huge shout out to you and all of your colleagues on the Kaiser Fire District Board of Directors. You have worked very hard. You always do, but in particular, you've put in a lot of extra effort to make sure that you are providing the leadership and the direction for the fire district in a really affirming way. Thank you for joining us today, Betty.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it as always. And I appreciate you mentioning Band Day because I'd almost forgotten. I've been thinking about it this week. I love to support the band. I had the chance to be in the band when I was in high school. And I remember somebody saying something recently about, oh, never having walked in the parade or whatever it was. And I went, well, obviously you didn't play in the band in high school, or you would have walked in a parade somewhere sometime. And or been in one anyway. And so, yes, it has been a busy time at Kaiser Fire. I mean, needless to say, there are calls for service have continued to increase, but bigger than that, of course, is that our fire chief has decided to retire after 15 years with the district. And I wanted to call out a few big things that happened while he was here. And of course, wish him really well as time goes on. One of the big things is that we have an operating levy that helps us cover the cost of medical transport, because even though we can bill insurance companies, it doesn't nearly cover what the cost is. It only covers somewhere in the neighborhood of 50 or 60% of the cost. And then, of course, some people are not insured at all. But in any case, so we passed that 3 times during his tenure. We have another time coming up next year, so that will be interesting. And we also were able to increase the amount about 10 years ago, so that it did a better job. We've added quite a few personnel. I have to admit, I didn't go back and ask how many, but the main reason, of course, has been because of our demand for service. It's probably not quite doubled since he's been here, but pretty close, well over 50% again, and maybe closer to 80% again. It's one of the things I'll be looking at as we go forward, because that it's so important to the fire district to have the support through the levy. And of course, the reason we need that more than ever is the demand for service that we've had. And probably the big thing that most people in the community have been able to see, in 2016, we passed a bond measure, and it allowed us to replace our equipment. So the newest of which was, at least our fire engines, was something like 20 years old. So at the time, so we have replaced our fire engines, our ambulances. We've added I think maybe a third and fourth ambulance. We were really lucky in our timing in that we got the voters authorized $6 million in bonds, and we were able to sell them at a premium, so that we got actually more than the face value. And that it's a complicated thing to explain. This is probably something Robert knows something about from his MBA program, but I won't put you on the spot to explain it, Robert. So, and so, it was really fortuitous that we were able to do that. And also, Chief Cowan is really instrumental in the blue and white look of Kaiser Fire. And of course, it has to do with the fact that McNary High School is blue and white. So, yeah, you're right. And it is kind of interesting, because one of the division chiefs had told me one time that when he ends up getting a call where somebody's complaining about something that a fire truck or whatever did, then the first question he asks is, so what color was the fire engine? And if it wasn't blue and white, sorry, I can't help you. So that's a really good thing. So of course we wish Chief Cowan lots of luck in whatever the next chapter in his life is, and appreciate his service to the district. But there are lots of other stuff I wanted to tell you about too. So one of the big things is that we have our annual open house on Monday, October 10th, from 6 to 8 p.m. And this is a great event, especially for kids, but for kids of any age, if you will, and opportunity to have some fun time trying out being a firefighter. And I don't know if any of you figured this out, but those 5-year-olds who want to be a firefighter when they grow up really never quite outgrow that. They might actually do something else, but somewhere, when they have the opportunity to do something fun that looks like being a fireman, that you can see those in various ways that fire districts are able to use volunteers. So that's a great thing. And of course, a couple of big things is September is Emergency Preparedness Month. And I'm going to put in the chat a couple of websites where you can get some information and about being prepared. And I was visiting with our Deputy Fire Marshal, Anne Marie Storms, yesterday about it. And she said, well, and they're working on their emergency preparedness there at the fire station in terms of when they purchase water, for instance, they have a plan of how to cycle it through so it doesn't just sit in those plastic bottles forever. And so they also are using pre-prepared or have pre-prepared meals. And you can buy those for your family, which is really kind of cool because some of them have a really long shelf life. I was looking at that myself because I'm not very well prepared. But the Red Cross has a great website to help you, sort of prepare your emergency plan for yourself and be prepared with the materials and things that you would need as a family. And needless to say, I mean, the sort of recommended time period is for 3 days, enough food and water, and then other things for 3 days. But it is very possible that you might have to be much longer than that. So, for instance, if a wildfire came through and you weren't able to return home, as happened to many people up the canyon, for instance, then you might have to, go much longer. Or if Cascadia comes, it may cut you off from being able to get to, someplace to get help. So you might think a little longer term as you look for your family and how to be safe and prepared in case of an emergency. Those are probably the two biggest things, but windstorms are pretty common and they can cause a lot of damage and end up, without electricity, for instance, for quite a while and all of those things. So, we've all been there to some extent.
So one of the things that I found was not on the list, and I hope that Kaiser Fire really puts on there, during the ice storm, which was a emergency in place for so many of us, people found out that their kits were not adequate or non-existent. And, think back, what didn't you have? Something I had never seen on a list, but I started getting phone calls immediately. People who have medical equipment at home,
right,
have a spare battery and have it charged up. People on CPAP machines were in a world of hurt. They had to find places that they could plug in to be able to sleep. Their homes are perfectly fine, except no power and maybe a little chilly, but they didn't have the power for their medical equipment. That turned into a big problem.
It is a big problem. And of course, not everybody can afford to have a backup generator, or if they do, they may or may not be adequately prepared to use it for the length of time that it's needed or whatever. So yes, that is an important thing to look at, is medical needs, both in terms of equipment that you might have that you may need to continue to operate, but also your medications and having enough supply so that you don't run out of medication too soon. I noticed that the time frame for when you get a refill or maybe eligible for a refill, you could be down to just a few pills before a refill comes through. And that wouldn't necessarily last you 3 days, let alone longer than that. The other thing that I got yesterday, and now I'm looking, of course, for where I put it, is a form that you can put your information and your medications and your emergency contact on, and fold it up and put it on your refrigerator, so that if you end up calling 911 for some reason, they can see that and get the information about what kinds of medical issues you might have and what kind of medication you take and those kinds of things that are helpful, especially for someone like me. I live alone, so having that for them, because there might not be somebody here who could tell them if they come, and I might not be able to tell them. So that's an important thing for every family. And actually, you can do that form online as well. So they have a fillable form, and I'll put that into the chat as well before we're done here today, so people can get that. And of course, then October is fire prevention. And so it's important to look around your house for potential fire hazards. Most of us who live in the city don't necessarily have a lot of trees close to our buildings, but you know, if you're not paying attention, the arborvitae that you planted moved in and now be out of hand, and also, you know, be fairly dry in the middle and all of that, and could be a fire hazard. So you want to look. I just actually had some pretty old ones removed here from where I'm now living, and I thought, I'm really glad those are gone, because they'd probably go up in a second.
Oh, yeah. They're not arborvitae, they're arborvitae.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, so again, the open house is coming up in October, so we're looking forward to that. Will be a lot of fun. I always enjoy going and watching the kids as they're you know, doing their little firefighter routines and stuff, and talking with the vendors and everything. So yeah. Anyway, so I think, and of course, I'd be delighted to talk about the library.
Yes, for the library.
Yeah, yes, for the Kaiser Public Library. It happens to be our website. People can go there and tell us, endorse the measure, tell us how they want, what they want to do, make a donation, whatever. But this is such an important thing that here we are, 40 years old, largest city in the state, and perhaps even at one time we were the largest city in the country without a public library. And I happened to be at a conference Thursday, and I met a woman who's from a library district in Oregon, and I said, well, I live in Kaiser, we're the largest city in Oregon, 40,000 people, and we don't have a public library. And she said, really? We're only 5,000 and we have the best library in the world. You know, and I thought, good for you. What a wonderful thing, because libraries really open the world up for people, and they are so many things for so many people in terms of opportunities, not only to get information about stuff, but to apply for jobs, to feel safe, to listen to somebody read to them. In fact, we're starting the Kaiser Library we're starting to train some people to do adult literacy to help people learn English. And so partnering with the Mid-Valley Literacy Council to do that. And so it's, and the most important thing is that we really have the expertise on our library board to make it happen. So the only thing we're really missing is the public funds, and the measure on the ballot in November will get us the public funds. I mean, the fact, if as I think about what it would cost us if we had to pay for the expertise that is volunteering and willing to see us through to achieve the public library status, if we get this funding, it would be very costly. And so we're fortunate to have BJ Tui and John Goodyear to help us with making this happen. And I'm delighted to have the opportunity to work with them and provide my knowledge and understanding of various things to work with them and help make the public library in Kaiser a reality. I'd be happy to answer any questions. And I'm glad there isn't an audience.
We definitely want to have people learn about the ballot measure. This has been a long time coming. And one of the problems that we have, being a young city that was formed And very shortly thereafter, measures 5, 47, and 50
Oh.
were passed on property tax limitation. It took
Uh-huh.
away tools that other cities had to be able to fund a program in their city like a library. So we have to do it creatively. And because of the expertise we have in the community and the phenomenal volunteers who have
Mhm.
created a top-notch community library, it is
Yeah.
poised and ready to be a very, very high quality Kaiser
Right.
Public Library. And
Right.
the next steps will be able to move forward for us to be able to become a member of the Chemeketa Cooperative Regional Library System, CCRLS. That's the
Right.
second step. They're waiting for it. We have to take the first step.
Right. Right. And it's up to all of us in Kaiser to make that happen. So anyway, I appreciate all of the help that people can get. We're getting lots of people who are willing to say, yes, the Kaiser Public Library is a great thing. And I'm willing to support that and stuff. And so I'm really thankful for people who are willing to do that. And I'm putting these website links in the chat. And so anyway,
All right. So
yeah, okay,
thank you, Becky.
thank
And I
you.
know, Ramiro, you have to jump. I'm just gonna wrap up with a couple of things. Ramiro, have a great day. Just to wrap up some things from the city, Councilor Reed and I were fortunate to join Kaiser Fire Board Director Colleen Bush as members of the cast of The Music Man.
Yes.
We were Pick-a-Little Ladies as part of that show. We had a ball doing it. That show was a collaboration between the Kaiser Homegrown Theater and the McNary High School Theater Department. It ran for 6 wonderful performances. We had a great time, and we were able to support 6 of our local nonprofits through that process, and the generosity of so many of you in the community that came out to enjoy the show. So thank you to everybody who was involved in that great production, and I had so much fun doing that. The videos are available online, or pictures, and so yes, people going, gee, you're also mayor and you sing and dance? Yes, I do.
And all I can say is thank you that I wasn't there. I got to see it. It was wonderful, but no one would want to hear me sing.
Well, Colleen Bush represented Kaiser Fire really well.
Yes.
And she also helped out with sets and with some of the costume production. So it was an all hands on deck with a cast of 60,000 or 60,000, felt like it, 67. We were a little crowded on that stage, 60,000. Cast of thousands. I'm thinking of Cecil B. DeMille. So it was great. And we look forward to the next production from McNary High School Theater Department will be Mary Poppins, which will be showing in January. Stay tuned for that. A couple other things going on is we had our parks tour on Monday. We and the Parks Board toured 3 of our 19 parks here in Kaiser. We visited Kaiser Rapids Park, the brand new picnic shelters by the Big Toy. They're done. The shade sails are up. They're probably going to be coming down soon as the weather cools. They look beautiful, and they are now pretty much out of reach from those who thought they were a parkour course, because they're not. Getting on top of them is not okay. Destroyed the last ones, and we had to replace them all and raise them up. Also, we visited Bear Park, which is little known. It's a small park in the north part of Kaiser near Clear Lake Elementary, and got to see the work that's been done there and some plans for additional paths to be able to enjoy that park more thoroughly, and also the great work that our staff has had to do in partnership with our contractor, R&R Tree Service. We are still recovering from the ice storm of 2021. The tree damage was extraordinary in all of our parks, but in particular, the ones that are heavily wooded, Bear being one of them. Meadows, Claggett Creek just got the living daylights kicked out of them by the ice storm. And we're still working with the arborist on continuing to assess the health and safety of trees. So we've had to make some hard decisions to take trees down, but if they are damaged and dangerous, they come out.
And as someone who lives near Bear Park, Kathy, it's nice to have the wooded buffer as always for people walking in between the neighborhoods. And so the tree damage is unfortunate, but the work is very necessary, and it'll reap benefits for a lot of people in the long term.
It will indeed. And one of the things that got opened up as it got all cleared out was there's a old rusted historic cart by the water tower. So we're actually looking to put in a little path to it and an interpretive kiosk about what that is and how it ended up there. I did not know the history, but Debbie Lockhart, who is our deputy city recorder, is also a fantastic history buff and has done tremendous work when we have the Kaiser Points of Interest Committee, and continues to work and volunteer to help with getting historical information. So we look forward to adding that to our Kaiser Park system. The parks, the turf fields, I mentioned that earlier, that work is underway for site design. We're getting really close to the 90% drawings and for site design, and then bringing in community folks to look at how does this get what we need to, and then get to the bid documents that will go out for construction. So looking forward to that coming as quickly as possible. The demand is high. The anticipation of people of all ages to have another really high quality place for outdoor sports and recreation is also running very high. But you do not have to wait anymore for the field at Kaiser Rapids Park in the lower area, what I call the cardboard box, the open play field area. The place is hydro seeded, is looking really good. And when the barriers come down, have at it, have a great time, run and play, throw frisbees, have a picnic. That is for folks to enjoy a great big, nice, open, grassy field area for us for unscheduled and open recreation. So that project is nearing completion. Also want to mention, many people have contacted the city regarding the two big housing projects that are underway. They're both multifamily. One is on River Road, just north of the 7-Eleven, and then the other one is on Verda between Chamawa and Dearborn. So those are under construction, as in the site preparation is underway. Neither has their final permits, but they are under review. And once those are issued, then they will go to actual building construction. They're going to provide some very much needed housing in Kaiser. We have a shortage of both single and multifamily in this area, as everybody who has tried to get housing knows. It is difficult and you have to be persistent. So this is going to be much needed. It's been in our housing needs analysis plan for quite some time. These were already zoned for multifamily, so they are moving forward as we speak. So those are some of the things happening in the city of Kaiser. I really want to thank our special guest today, Robert Husband, presumptive counselor-elect for position 5, Betty Hart from the Kaiser Fire District Board of Directors, Ramiro Navarro from the Chariots Board of Directors, and Corey Filardo, the Executive Director of the Kaiser Chamber of Commerce. We hope you all have a great rest of the month. We will see you next month on the October edition of Coffee with Cathy. Thank you, everybody.